Well, hello, friends. It is MG, and we are here with another awesome episode of the Reimagine You Lab podcast. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in. It is because of you that we are constantly moving the needle up on our subscribers. So I just want to thank you again and make sure that if you haven't already, hit that beautiful subscribe bell so that you will get notified every time each Friday a new episode drops. So I don't want to belabor the time because y'all know I love it when we got somebody in here, and today is no different. I am in the lab today with the one, the only Bridget Battles, who is up in here today, and she is. Y'all thought I was about to tell y'all, didn't y'all? But y'all know how we do. Y'all know how I do. This is when I'm going to go beyond the bio because y'all know how I like to do this. I'm going to let her tell y'all who she is, where she's at, what she does, and how she do it. Bridget, you ready to tell them all about you?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, balls in your court, girl.
All right. Thank you so much. And to all the listeners, I so appreciate you coming in the lab with us. Michelle, thank you for sharing your platform. Everybody, I am Bridget Battles. I am the CEO of the Bridget Battles Experience. This is where I work with entrepreneurs and executives on how to really create your executive presence and your signature image so that you cannot be ignored. I believe that you have to show up as your authentic self, command the room, and own your own space. So I'm coming to you today out of Delaware County in Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly.
Yes. Hey, girl, I love that. I love that. So all those leaders, executive presence, come on. Now, I think that is so important. So important how you show up on the room. Not sitting there, not fly on the wall. We are not the one. We're not the wallflowers, Bridget. I'm imagining that those are not the folks that you are talking about. Or if you are, I bet you've got some things that you can share with us on how to change that up. But before we jump in on giving people tips and techniques and all of the good stuff that you share with folks, or people pay you to tell them, tell us, how did you get started there? How did this happen? Like, happy accident, I heard you say.
Yeah, it really is a happy accident. So I'm originally from High Point, North Carolina. I've been in this area now for 20 years. And so I don't have any family that's located here. I came here, for career and, a few other things. And I've always loved fashion, always loved business. And so because I didn't know anyone, I would lean into the fashion aspect of my life and then the business. And I just happened to marry those two things together and just started really creating content on social, started to get a little bit of buzz and started to really build an audience. So what started out as, a hobby per se, I had people that gained an interest in what I was doing, but I did not have the formula for actually creating a business. I just knew what I loved. I just knew that I loved doing it. And so through the process of me really getting some more insight on how to really formulate a business, getting the right coaching and packaging and positioning myself in the right way, I took what was a hobby or a happy accident and really created a business.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. You know what? And that's what you have to do. A lot of times, this is what I tell people and everybody that I work with. I'm always telling you, how do you leverage your experience, education, or expertise into a business? How do you figure out what do I know? And how do I package that up to teach it and train somebody else to be able to do that thing? Because most of what you do, you can teach it to somebody else, right? Like, you can help people with the things that you know. And so, no, I think that that's great. Now, so tell me this, when you're working with people, how do people identify whether or not you can help them or that they need help? Because sometimes people don't know, like, they show up and they think, you know what, hey, I'm doing all right. I'm okay. I need that help. How do they recognize if they are a Bridget Battles Experience client? How do they know they need Bridget Battles help?
So this is a great question. So I specifically hone in on two different audiences. But the first thing I want to say is this. So when I first started the business, like I thought I was Walmart. I thought I had services for everybody. I thought I could answer everybody's problem. I was just like have a solution for it all. And so what I learned through the course of that is that I'm not Walmart. And so I really began to hone in on my authenticity, who I am, and the people that I was called to serve. So I specifically work with entrepreneurs and C-suite executives, or those with a desire to go to the C-suite. But here, as I begin to create my community, I call my community CEOs, because you're the chief executive officer of your own life. And so with that, I begin to speak directly to my audience and really begin to call out the issues, the pains, the problems that they were having, and begin to show them that not only did I have a framework that can help you be successful, but also show you how the way that you show up is tied to your finances. So you can't be great, grand, and wonderful and not packaged and positioned properly so that you show up as your authentic self and still make money. So it's all about you getting the tools. So I call out specifically to leadership and to professionals what it is that is paining you, what it is that you need, and why you need me to help you get to the next level.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think that's good. Good. So when you were thinking about this and you kind of said, okay, I'm talking to an audience, I'm talking to these specific people. What does executive presence mean to you?
Yes.
And why do you think it's so crucial for leaders today?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Skill set alone is not what's going to get you on the next level. Skill set is great because it tells you what you can do, but you can't rely solely on skill set. There has to be a level of business acumen and a level of confidence, because if you don't, you lose the people that you serve and you begin to fragment your team, or your team does not produce at the desired level. And so when you talk about what executive presence means to me, it's about owning your space. It's about you being confident in who you are. And it's not about you diminishing your value, but being able to articulate your value and demonstrate the value. You have to not only be able to say what you're worth, but you have to be able to show what you're worth. And even though nobody will ever really pay you all that you're worth, but at least if I can demonstrate to you why working with me or being in my presence adds to what you have and can help you get to the next level, that's key. And see, what I find is this: when you talk about leadership, here's the thing about leadership. It's that your skill set is great. We know what you can do, but you also got to have interpersonal skills. Yes. You have to know how to talk and communicate with people. Yes. You have to know how to lead effectively. And also you have to know how to get people to feel they are empowered to give you their best.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good stuff. That's real talk. That's real talk. So when you're thinking about, because there is a value to executive presence, and you do need to dial that up. A lot of times there's a lot of people, I work with a lot of people, going in corporate spaces, I'm thinking about, when you hit that 6-figure mark, right? People working, you go up the corporate ladder, you want to make more money. You want to effectively sit in those rooms. I know, and when in my field of expertise, when you working in STEM areas, there's not a lot of people that look like me in those spaces, right? So there's not a lot of people working in automations and with platforms and things like that. So a lot of times, you're in there by yourself. So talk to me a little bit about some of the things that when you're working with people, how they feel, how do they build up that confidence? Because that was one of the things that you shared. A lot of it is not just skill set. it's being confident in the room. Sometimes you may be the only person of color. Sometimes you may be the only female. Sometimes it may be your first entry point into the executive C-suite, right? So once you get there, how do you show up? So when you're working with your clients and things, how do you define the impact that once you start developing those skills, how it changes for you, how it helps you in developing them, and having somebody help you develop helps you?
Yeah, so I've created a framework that I'm going to share a little bit about very high level with your audience. And so the framework that I've created is my executive elevation framework. And so with that, it has 3 important steps, 3 important components. And so the first thing is that you have to get a breakthrough. Your breakthrough is your mindset shift. And I use this for an example a lot. So I had a client. So I'm 51, all right? And so I had a client who was around my age, but she still had her prom dress. And so holding on to her prom dress, you're holding space for things that no longer serve who you are now. So I understand if you're saving the prom dress because you have a child, you want to pass it down, or we're not getting back to that size anymore. And so with that being said, you have to do mindset shift work in order for you to get this executive presence cultivated and figuring out what is it that's holding you back. And so I use the prom dress because you're holding on to something that's not going to help you where you are because you're not that person anymore. So that's the first thing, is that you got to have a mindset shift. You got to get a breakthrough in the mind, do your internal work. The second thing is a blueprint. You got to have a strategy. You got to be able to measure where you are based on where you need to be. And so we create what I like to call a blueprint. And so your blueprint is the actual plan for how you're going to get there, identifying where you are and where you desire to be. So there's this process in the middle. And the process for me is, number one, is that I need to understand what messaging you're putting out. I look at your LinkedIn. If your headshots are old, I'm going to tell you your headshots are old. They need to be updated. And my glam is going to come in. We'll glam you and give you new headshots. We'll make over your LinkedIn and give you 30 days worth of content. We're going to figure out, what is your power word? What is your message? What is it that you want to convey into the world? And make sure you're packaged and positioned properly. So when people meet you, there is no question about who you are and who you serve and what do you do. The third thing is bankable. Not only should the organization be banking, but so should you. And so we're not bankable because what happens is this: we are afraid to really put ourselves out there. We put ourselves out there in a certain level of comfort. And so I find what happens when you talk about the only, sometimes when you have a dream or a vision or insight, nobody sees it the way you see it. You see it. Nobody else sees it and you're excited. You know how you tell somebody, oh my God, I got this idea. You're all hyped. And when you tell them, you don't get the response.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same way with your value. No one will see it the way that you see it. And so with that, I have to demonstrate it to you. And in order for me to measure that, is that I got to be able to communicate my worth to you, so you know why you need me, especially if your team is hemorrhaging, especially if your team is fragmented. And so with that being bankable, we take all of the things we've done, package and position you properly so that you are able to communicate what it is that you need. And so my clients typically get an increase around 20 to 30%. My last few clients have had significant impact on their finances based on that work, because their confidence now is on a different level. Confidence is through the roof. They say when you look good, you feel good, you do good. Confidence is through the roof. Creativity is elevated. And most importantly, you become an opportunity magnet. People want to be in your space.
Right.
When you show up and you've invested in the way that you look and you've invested in your messaging, it's a level of trust that you build with your audience.
Yeah, no, that's good. That is so good, Bridget. That is so good. And it makes a difference. And you're so right about being the opportunity magnet, because people they're attracted to what's attractive.
Yeah.
You know what? And nobody is dying to get to what's ugly or what's not there, what's not visible. When people see you, they see you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make yourself seen.
Yeah, people are attracted to the wrapper. You know how it is. Anything that we buy in the grocery store, you buy it because of what the outside appearance looks like before you even taste it.
Yeah.
You know, and when you go shopping, you're attracted to what you see before you even try it on. It may not even look the way that in your mind you envision it.
Yeah,
we're attracted to that. And so we have to put ourselves in a place to be willing to do the work, so that we are able to actually have that impact.
No, you're absolutely right. What do you find is the hardest thing of those three things that you just talked about there? And even if it's not those three things, what do you find is the hardest thing for people to develop?
So here's the thing. So typically people who are in leadership roles, you know, we tend to know a lot. You know, we tend to know a lot. Yes. And so what we do is this: when I tell you something, you go, "Yeah, I know." Yeah, no, you don't know. Because if you knew, you would be doing it. And right. So we do know a lot of things, but it's so hard for us to really dial in to the things when it comes to ourselves. Yeah. Because we're so in it. So I say the hardest thing is the mindset shift, because people become vulnerable whenever we're having these conversations, because although I'm not a therapist, there's always an emotional attachment somewhere. And so that's the hardest thing, is acknowledging that there's an emotional attachment, and also realizing that it's up to you to detach yourself from it. So whenever you're going through these changes, or you want to, I use your word, reimagine yourself. What you have to do in all of that is that no matter who's helping you, you have to realize, in order for you to get to the desired outcome, you have to be the one to do the work.
You do.
We can guide you. I can do the framework. I can hold you accountable. I can motivate you. But if you don't do the work, you won't get the desired outcome.
Absolutely. I tell people there's an information action gap. And that's that doing the work that's in the middle. Like, you're going to have to do something. We can tell it to you. We can talk to you about it. And like you said, all of the things, we can hold you accountable. We can share it with you, but you are going to have to do the actions that's going to lead you to the result that you're looking for.
Yeah, we're professional consumers. We will consume. we will consume everything that's attracted to us. But if it's not in alignment with your brand, or if it's not alignment with your style, you consuming all of that, you have a library of things that are of no value.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you haven't done it. You're not doing anything with it. You can get the same information from 20 different coaches, mentors, people that you see on TV, videos you've watched, books you've read. It's still going to require the same thing. You are going to have to do something with the information that you know. You're going to have to do it. You're going to absolutely have to do it. You know what? Can you share an example with us of somebody you've worked with, or a client that you've had near, before or currently, that has done well, that has transformed their executive presence and the impact that it had on them?
Yeah, sure. So I'll share one of my clients, and she is still with me. And so typically I work with clients on a 3 to 6 month basis, and then they have the opportunity to re-sign up. And so I have one who says, like, I'm never letting you go. And so what I love about her is that she's a business owner. She does HR work. And so when I met her, she was calling herself Chief Boss Lady. And so what has happened since we have been working together, she has moved from being a Chief Boss Lady to stepping into actually being the CEO. And so why it's important of what you call yourself.
Your identity.
And so the change is not only did she cross the $1 million mark in her business last year, but now her level of confidence is in a different place and is manifesting on a lot bigger stages, and she's now pursuing opportunities that she thought that was not within her reach. All because now her confidence is her confidence is elevated, and she is not afraid to show up.
Yeah.
So that's been one success story right there. And then there's also one which I absolutely love, another one client who was on the verge of getting a promotion, and she did get the promotion. And she said her boss told her, he said, whoever you're working with, you're really doing a good job. Says your presence and, the way you look, everything is totally changed. And she said, well, what did I look like before then? He said, a mess. And so here's, yes, but they had that great relationship. And so here's the thing, the fact that it meant more to her that people recognized her process. And so her finished product, yes, but they recognized her process. They recognized that she was willing to become vulnerable and put herself out there for the work. Yeah. And so now she's traveling nationwide and doing a lot of different things. So those have been success stories. And now I have male clients now, which has been really, really cool because men are different than women.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
Men are totally different.
How so? Because, a lot of times men, the male ego will make you think that they don't think that they need it. So how is that how the difference?
So that hasn't been the difference that I've experienced. The difference I've experienced with men is that they have all these ideas, they have all these things, they have every single thing. And so with the competing priorities, you expect everyone else to operate the same way that you do. Everyone does not operate like that. That's number one. And then number two, understanding that you don't have to show up in a black, brown, or gray suit for every single thing.
Okay. No. Okay. Yeah.
And then the third thing is this. So let me do this illustration with you. So give me one word that describes who you are. I don't want to hear about your job, your children, your spouse, your church, your cat, your dog, your car, nothing. Just one word that describes you.
One word that describes me. I would say creative.
Love it. So why did you say creative?
Because I'm always coming up with something.
I love that. And so typically when I ask men that question, because I do the power word exercise, anytime I speak or go out. So when I ask men that question, it takes them a minute to think about just them versus what they do. Okay. And so what I've had them to now change when you're going to networking, instead of collecting 5,222 business cards for people that we're not going to follow up with. Yeah. You identify those 2 or 3 people. And when you network building a relationship versus trying to automatically just go in for the kill and sell somebody something that they don't need, or they're not your ideal client or something they don't want. Right. And so when I start giving men and helping them identify what their power word is, they now use that as part of the introduction.
Okay. So tell us. So then now you have to show us what is an introduction with your power word.
Yes. So for example, let's role play. Let's act like we're at a networking event. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hello there, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good, girl. How are you?
I am good. So excited to be here with you and to meet you. Looking forward to the conversation. So now, Michelle, tell me one word about you, because I want to learn about you.
Oh, one word about me, I would tell you is creative.
And why is it creative?
Well, you know what? I am typically creating things. And so I would tell you that that's my word, because that's what I like to do. And that's what I'm usually called to do.
That's awesome. So, Michelle, my power word is contagious, because I believe that anybody that comes into my space, that the joy and the animation and the excitement that I bring, because I can command a room and I can hold space, that you're going to have that same level of intensity when you leave me. I'm going to challenge you and make you want to be better. So my word is contagious. So now we got a contagious creative combination right here.
All right. I like a creative and a contagious conversation and
Yes.
collaboration right here. That's a
And
good one.
that's how I do it. And so we keep going into conversation then. And that way it's
Good.
not based on, well, I closed 5 deals yesterday. That's great. We'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
getting a chance to know people, and that's what networking is about.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think that's good. That's real good. Yeah. No, that's good. That's really good. I like that. I bet the men like that too when they come
do.
back to you and tell you how that worked for them. I'm
Yes.
sure they come back with some real interesting stories, and I'm sure that they connect well with people.
They do, because now when you follow up with them or you have conversation, out of all the people they met, they remember you because your introduction to them was different than everybody else's.
Yeah. No, that's real good. That is so good. You know what? So when you're working with people, I always like to think that that people are always looking to enhance what it is that they're doing. So that's something that they can take with them. They can use. I'm sure that they probably share that with other people and say, you know what, y'all doing networking the wrong way. Y'all ought to be doing this. So that's really good. So when you're thinking, when somebody is looking to enhance their executive presence, where do you tell them that they should start?
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to do and sit with yourself. Figure out what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what kind of ice cream you like, all the things. And I think that's important because you have to know yourself. And that is key. You got to know yourself, because it is very hard to actually have a authentic conversation with someone if you're not comfortable with who you are. So one question someone asked me today, I am keynoting for Chamber of Commerce in my area today. And so one question someone asked me is that what is it if you show, when the person that you have a big personality and it's just a whole lot. How do you manage that? Which I thought was a great question.
That is.
What I said to her is this: you have to understand how to read the room and to know what dosage you give people. Because everybody can't handle the same dosage of you.
Yeah, that's true.
So reading the room will tell you how you communicate that and how you are able to really create that conversation. So the starting point is that doing your internal work on yourself, figuring out the simple things about you.
Yeah.
That's the first part. And then the second part, after you have done that, now start to really identify what it is you want to do. How do you see yourself and how do you want the world to view you?
Yeah.
And then you start positioning yourself for that.
Yeah. No, that's critical. Self-awareness is so important. You do have to know yourself. Know who you are, what you want.
Yeah.
What do you want? I think those are ideal questions that you have to ask yourself. Self-awareness.
You have to silence the noise, because there's so much noise in the digital space.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
all this noise, it breeds imposter syndrome. So you can't compare yourself to what everyone else is doing.
Right.
Because
absolutely.
You don't live the type of life that they live.
Right. And you're not supposed to, because in a lot of cases, what somebody else has doesn't necessarily equate to what it is that you want or should have.
Absolutely.
I know, and you probably run into this too. Like you said, you're 51, I'm 52. And me and some girlfriends, we were out this past weekend. It was a first Friday down at the waterfront. And so we just went, and, they had different shops and stuff kind of set up. And so we could go. We just went, we had dinner and we just mingled around. I don't need a lot of stuff. I got so much stuff that most of the time I can go out. I don't need, how many more handbags do I need? How many more pair of shoes? I'm going to get some stuff if I want to. But you don't need a whole lot of stuff. Got a closet full of things. But a lot of times, because somebody else, you see something on TikTok or you see something on, but a lot of times you don't necessarily have to have the things that you see other people with. It doesn't necessarily make happiness in your life. Sometimes things are just things. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also too that the older you get, the more you realize it's about experiences and the relationships.
Oh,
You
yeah.
buy all these things, and when you get these things after a while, it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like,
It's another thing.
yeah.
Absolutely. And you're right, it is experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one of my clients, she does experiences. So we put together experiences for her to do.
Mm-hmm.
So last year we took a group of 50 women, 38 women to St. Kitts for an international a chosen luxury experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the best time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just an opportunity for,
Mm-hmm.
because you had a group of women who they would have rather, all of them had lots of things, but they rather spend that time, met a whole group of women that they didn't know because they didn't know each other. Most of them
Mm-hmm.
didn't know each other unless they were, it was a buy one, bless one. So they got to bring a buddy with them. But anyway, that's you get into that space. So talk to me a little bit. How can someone balance their authenticity? I heard you talk about this, being your authentic self with projecting a strong executive presence, because some people feel like they've got to show up very strong. And I just heard you say, you know what, you've got to kind of measure the room, read the room so you know what dose to give people. But how, when we're not talking about like in a keynote, but hey, this is who I've always been. I'm authentically, I have, maybe I was that A personality. Maybe I was the firstborn in my family, or maybe I was the youngest, so I had to talk loud so that my family would hear me or allow me to be able to speak. I couldn't get my words in inchwise unless I had to speak up. So how do you measure that, or how do you balance that when you're showing up in these corporate spaces when maybe you don't have to do that? How do you do that? How do you kind of find that
Yeah.
balance?
So that's a good question. So you have to manage your messaging. And so understanding what your target audience is and the people that you're speaking to. And part of managing your message is you have to understand how the receiver consumes information. And so when you understand that, then you have to communicate the way that they are able to consume information. So you don't have to change who you are as a person, no, but you need to fine tune your method so they're able to consume the information. And so where we mess up is this. You can't just show up and say, I've been this way all my life and either take it or leave it. That's not how you meet people where they are. That's not how you make an impact. And so the way you make that impact is this, is that showing up, you don't diminish who you are, but what you do is you meet people where they are. And you have to be open to understanding how people receive information.
That's great. That
Yeah,
is so
and then
good.
also too, I just want to add one other thing too. And so with that, you have to always learn how to be respectful, because there will be times you're in different cultural settings. So I do a lot of work in the Latino community and the Asian community, and I'm Black. I'm Black through and through. And ain't nobody in my family Asian or Latino. But I have some great relationships from the Asian community and the Latino community. And so what I value is that we share cultural experiences with each other. And so that educates us. And so I know how to be respectful in their space, and they know how to be respectful in mine. And so I'm creating some great relationships, and some of them have become some of my best friends.
Yeah, no, that's good. That is so good. So when you're thinking about the skills or qualities, what skills and qualities, I just heard you kind of share there, and that's a big one. Qualities do you think are essential for leaders to cultivate in the future? What kind of skills do you think that we need to be cultivating, so that you can be better at that executive presence? Because I think that's important. A lot of times you come with a set of skills to do a job, right? Or to be, to get there, there's some things that you have to do or know. But as you continue to climb, as you continue to go forward, what are some of those skills that people need to cultivate around that executive presence that you would suggest?
Continuous personal development. And it can't be limited to just classes and reading books. Some of it needs to be interactive. Whether or not it is you getting out of your comfort zone and going to places that you routinely would not visit, but getting those experiences. So continuous personal development is number one. Number two is really creating a space for you to have a tribe. And a tribe, so I'll tell you a little bit. So my tribe consists of people who represent different parts of my life. So I have someone from my church. I have someone from my Asian community, someone from my Latino community, one of my white friends. So having a tribe so that you're able to take feedback, because as much as that we are locked in on our goals and what we do, we also want to be self-aware. We also want to be able to know, not only do I have my support of the tribe, but they're also going to share with me things from my blind spots that I may not see. So being able to receive feedback is another thing that's crucial. And then the other thing I think that's very, very helpful is that when you believe in something, or when you have faith for something, or when you're in a place of opportunity, understanding that this is a privilege for you to be in the space and not mishandle it. So we can't mishandle people and relationships. Interpersonal skills are key in order for you to continue to grow your executive presence. So the confidence and all of those things are essential, but understanding that what got you in certain spaces won't keep you in certain spaces. There has to be an ongoing development to keep you there.
Yeah, no, that's good. That is so good, Bridget. That is so good. Oh my goodness. I swear it seems like the time always seems to go by so quickly. So quickly. Just when it's getting good, girl. Just when it's getting good. All right. So before I let you out of here, tell people where they can find you, and we're going to make sure that we have it. It's going to all be in the show notes. Where can they find you, sis? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at www.thebbexperience.com on all social media outlets as Bridget Battles. And for your listeners, if you log onto my website or connect with me on social media and you told me that you heard this podcast, I will give you a free 30-minute call with me.
All right. Y'all listen, get in contact with Bridget. If you want to bring that executive presence up, get in contact with her. I know that you guys have gotten some gems out of here. I want
to add this too, even if you're not in the C-suite or entrepreneur, but that's a dream, have conversations now so you can start getting yourself aligned to get to where you desire to go.
Yeah, sow seeds for where you're going. Remember, they used to tell us, don't dress for where you are, dress for where you want to go.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, get ready. Position yourself for where you want to go. Now, Bridget, before I let you out of here, though, you've got to give us 3 things, or your best, or actually, I won't even tell you to do 3. Your best piece of advice for change makers, because I believe that somebody listening in today is ready to make a change. They're ready to get there. They're ready to elevate, up level. They moving up. So what's your best piece of advice?
Yeah, take ownership. Number one is take ownership of who you are. You have the power to not only, you have the power to not only write your own story, but you also have the power to be the star in that story. So number one, own where you are, own who you are. Second thing is this. Don't be afraid of your scars. Your scars are a reminder that you made it out. So when you look at your scars, don't be afraid of it. It doesn't mean you have to show them to everyone, no, but always use it as a reminder that I made it out of it. And then the third thing that I would say is this: celebrate not just what you've accomplished, celebrate what you're on your way to.
All right. Woo! That was so good. So good. The Bridget Battles Experience. Y'all make sure you tune in. Get with this young lady. She will take you there. She will help you.
Thank you.
She will help you. Bridget, thank you so much for stopping into the lab. I appreciate you. Gonna talk to you some more. Let me close down the show for this episode. You all, thank you so much for tuning in to the Reimagine You Lab podcast. This is MG, the Reimagine Strategist. Every Friday, you can catch a new episode. There's always somebody in the lab that is going to help you get to your next level. And you know why? Because change is just a choice. You can make sure that you tune in every Friday for a new episode. Tell a friend, a family member, a neighbor, a colleague. We will be here. I will meet you next week. Until next Friday, holla!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.